So in the past few years, I've adopted more of a minimalist mindset when it comes to my wardrobe. I don't need to have tons and tons of different options, and I'm trying to get by with as little as possible within reason. A great example of within reason for me is I would never want to have just one white dress shirt. I always want to have at least two. That way, in case one of them gets stained or it's just dirty from being worn too many times and needs to be laundered, it's not going to be a big deal since I'm going to always have another one at the ready. So I am not the most minimalist person out there. The same thing goes with jeans, pants, shirts, shoes, glasses, and even other areas of my life such as nice road bikes or camera equipment. So today we're going to show you how you can get rid of some of those old clothes that you just don't wear anymore. This will actually help you wear your items that you love a lot more often, and overall it will just be a simpler, nicer way of living. Okay, as you can see right here, I have a lot of shirts and I have a lot of light blue shirts. So let's start right there. Currently have two light blue dress shirts. These are slim fit. They're from J. Crew. They're very easy to iron. And as you can see, the color is really nice on them. So they're very easy to dress down, especially when compared to the white dress shirts that we just saw a little bit earlier. Check out how many of these light blue Oxford shirts that I have. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 right here. One of them is in slim fit. The rest of them are in classic fit. I used to wear these shirts nonstop. I would dress them up for work. I would dress them down just untucked with a pair of jeans. This was almost like my uniform. However, as the years went on, I just didn't feel 100% wearing these. It felt like I was trying too hard to be casual but still be dressy, and rolling your sleeves up to here really just wasn't working out for me. Add to the fact that it's not a lot of structure, it doesn't wear very well. It also requires more ironing than any other shirts that I have since it is not wrinkle resistant, and it also crinkles up very easily even if you do wear starch. I've also grown out of the whole button-down collar that you see right here. I've grown to really enjoy the semi-spread collar that you actually see on this shirt. It's nice and stiff. You can dress it up while also dressing it down. Now, the light blue Oxford button-down shirt is a great casual option. However, if we take a look at some of my other options that I have, already said we have the light blue dress shirts. Also have a dark blue dress shirt. Same thing, easier to iron, nicer collar, fits much better, and is nice and stretchy. I forgot to mention, these also fit very weird. The slim fit is way too tight around my chest and shoulders. The classic fit is a bit looser up in the chest and shoulders, but it is very baggy and billowy, and it just means that the Oxford shirts don't wear very well. I always feel like they're hanging and just falling off me like they're too big on me. Now, when it comes to more casual long sleeve shirts, I really enjoy wearing my flannel shirts like this blue one or this blue and gold one. These things are a lot more casual but a lot warmer than the light blue Oxford shirts. They're also easier to layer over a nice shirt. I typically wear one of my dark blue polo shirts and sometimes just layer one of these flannels over just around the house, just when it gets a little bit cold in here during the day. And if I want something a bit more dressy than these shirts, I mentioned already a few times, I've got the J. Crew slim fit dress shirts. But that's not all. If you see over here, I've got a bunch of the Collars & Co. polo shirts. Currently wearing one right now. I've also got a white one, a couple of light blues. I've got this one, which is in a nice micro gingham pattern. Also, the one that I'm wearing is in a nice micro gingham pattern, a bit brighter of a blue, so you really can't see it until you get up close. We also have some nice navy ones, which are great for casual wear. And I should mention, I've got about 4 or 5 pairs of super casual Under Armour polos, which are just great casual short sleeve shirts. But the short sleeve shirts obviously won't keep you as warm as the long sleeve shirts, which are right here. But one thing I actually prefer doing a lot more than wearing just a long sleeve shirt and rolling the sleeves down would be wearing a nice merino v-neck or quarter zip sweater over the polo shirts. Layering sweaters over polo shirts is going to be a lot more interesting than just the plain Jane light blue Oxford shirt, sleeves rolled up to about your elbows. Those sweaters are going to keep you nice and warm, but then of course, if it gets too warm, you could just take them off. And as long as you're wearing a nice fitted polo shirt, doesn't have to be Collars & Co. It could be something a little bit cheaper or a lot cheaper, as long as it fits you properly. You're gonna get 2 awesome casual looks, and it's just gonna add a lot more interest and dimension to your outfit. So these 4 Oxford shirts are going straight into the donation bag. Staying on the subject of shirts, I do have this nice micro gingham, navy micro gingham dress shirt. This one is from J. Crew. It's slim fit, but as you can see, it does have that button down collar, which I'm not really a huge fan of. However, the main reason I don't wear this shirt anymore is I just don't like that navy gingham as much as I like the brighter gingham or this one that I was showing you before. I would always take more of a royal blue gingham over a navy gingham just because this one looks too much like black and white, and I don't love the way it matches with my skin tone. It washes me out, whereas something like this looks a lot better, or even the one that I'm wearing, that super bright blue gingham. I've had this shirt for a very long time. It fits very well. It's not as stretchy as the ones I spoke about already, the light blue ones, but it doesn't require any ironing, and I did keep it for a long time just because it's such an easy shirt. However, it might be time to get rid of this, so this one I'm going to put in the donation pile as well. 80% sure I'm going to be donating this one. Flannel shirts. I love wearing flannel shirts. I used to wear this tan flannel shirt all the time. It was like one of my main shirts. However, I've realized that with my skin tone, especially when I watch or edit some of my videos, it doesn't really match super well with my skin tones. It starts to wash me out. These flannel shirts also fit very big and baggy. They do require ironing, and I mentioned this a couple times. I'm not really a big fan of the button-down collar. I have had this one for 4 or 5 years. It is starting to pill and look pretty rough. So I am going to eventually get rid of this. However, I'm going to keep this exact one, this particular one you're seeing right here, just because I did invest in a sewing machine a little while ago. And I want to practice taking shirts in, making them more fitted myself, since I feel like that can save a lot of money in the long run if you just buy one sewing machine and you can just tailor all your shirts. This way, if I do mess up on this one, I'm not messing up on one of the shirts that I actually want to keep, such as any of these 3 darker colored flannels. Okay, the last shirt I might eventually get rid of would have to be this royal blue micro gingham polo shirt from Collars & Co. A couple things about this shirt. Number one, that button-down collar, not really a big fan of. What I'm going to try to do with this shirt is just leave the collar unbuttoned and see if I like it. If it gets all nutso crazy, I might end up deciding to get rid of it. But something else I noticed with this shirt in particular, and you can even see it in the shirt that I'm wearing, these Collars & Co. polo shirts, sometimes the sleeves can get stretched out to almost your elbows. Not a look that I am super psyched about. I'd rather have the shirt fit exactly in the middle of your tricep and bicep and have it be a little bit tighter. But I understand these shirts are going to be more formal, so it's always safer for the manufacturer to make them a bit longer. You could always just cuff them up once and either just leave them like that, or you can just hand stitch them. It shouldn't take too long, or worst case scenario, pay a couple dollars and have a tailor actually shorten them. So it really depends. I'm thinking of getting rid of it eventually. However, because it is just such an easy shirt to wear, especially underneath a sweater, and it also requires no ironing at all, I really have to make sure that I want to get rid of it. Plus, these Collars & Co. shirts are very versatile, but they're also very expensive, so I would hate to get rid of it and then miss it and then have to buy it again for $85 per shirt. Now, speaking of getting rid of expensive things, I know it can be hard to get rid of something. Like, let's say that shirt, $85, you paid $85 for it, why are you gonna get rid of it? Or getting rid of an expensive sweater or jacket or a pair of shoes. It can be hard if you spent $500 on a pair of boots 5 or 6 years ago, you don't wear them. However, you don't wanna just donate them for nothing. You paid $500 6 years ago. You've got to be disciplined in your head and be realistic. Can you get $400, $300? You're probably going to be lucky if you get $200 for a boot that cost $500 a couple of years ago. And I would also recommend giving yourself a realistic timeline. An example would be if you want to get rid of something but you want to sell it to get some of your money back, give yourself 3 months. If by the end of that 3 months, you haven't listed it online for sale at all, and you've just done nothing, just put them in the corner and say, I'm going to sell them eventually. If it were me at that point, I would just count my losses and move on. You don't want to let that reason of trying to sell that used item to get some of the money back become your excuse of actually hoarding more things and then just never getting rid of anything. This is actually something that has happened to me. So I know it sucks when you paid hundreds of dollars for something 5, 6, 7 years ago. You hate to see it go, but you've got to remember that if you don't have a use for it anymore, it's actually still costing you it's still costing you peace of mind, since it's something else you constantly have to carry with you wherever you move to in life, wherever you go to. It's just extra baggage, and getting rid of something that you don't love anymore can actually start to make room for something that you do love, and life is just going to be simpler, it's going to be better, and you may find, like me, that you don't need as much stuff as you thought you did. So at this point in the exercise, these are the shirts that are going to be left in my wardrobe. We got rid of 5 shirts we're going to get rid of initially. I mentioned this one I'm going to keep just to practice tailoring on, so I can't let this one go in the donation bin just yet. Now we're going to move on to sweaters. These merino wool v-neck sweaters from J. Crew, I counted just today. I have 8 of these. I have 4 of them in navy blue, and I have 4 of them in gray. I've also recently added these quarter zips from Collars & Co. I have one in navy, and here's another one in gray. So that's 10 merino wool sweaters, either in v-neck or quarter zip. And honestly, if I'm just casually working around the house, just doing things, doing the dishes, I'm not throwing on the merino sweaters. I'm going to throw on a shirt like this, or a more casual polo shirt, or I'm going to throw on one of my flannel shirts just over it. Just makes it a lot easier, but also keep me warm. So it is non-negotiable. I have to get rid of some of the v-necks. I would love to go down to 2 navy and 2 gray. However, I do like the navy blue ones a lot better. They don't always match the best if I'm wearing a navy blue polo shirt with navy jeans, which I often do in casual situations. It just doesn't look right. It's too much navy. So either 2 navy and 2 gray, or maybe 3 navy and 1 gray, or maybe even 1 navy sweater and, or not 1 navy, maybe even 2 navy sweaters and 1 gray v-neck, since I still have those quarter zips that I just showed you. I've also had those sweaters for a very long time. One of them has a hole in the armpit. One of them has a hole right here, which you saw if you watched the other video that I filmed about a week or so ago. So I've got to take a look and see how rough and tumbled some of them are. If one of them is pilling hard and worn out and has a bunch of holes, that's going to be an easy, just go ahead, throw it in the donation bin. It's served its purpose. And at that point, it's just easier to get new pairs from J. Crew, which they should be currently running a sale in November for about $50 or $60. The other week, we actually talked about all the jackets that I currently own, and I mentioned I'm going to get rid of one jacket. It is most likely going to be this navy blue field jacket from Banana Republic. Reason being, I just don't wear it anymore. It's not very water resistant. It's only good for about 15 minutes in the rain. When you first pick it up on a hanger like this, it is heavier than some of the other options I have, but it's also not warm. So when compared to my 2 LL Bean packable Primaloft jackets, those are much lighter and much warmer, and even the new Banana Republic Loma quilted field jacket that I have in black is considerably lighter, much warmer, and much more water resistant than this one. Also, to top it all off, I'm not a big fan of wearing a navy blue jacket like this one. If I happen to be wearing either a navy polo shirt, a navy sweater, a navy flannel over a pair of dark wash jeans, it's just too much blue for me. And now we move on to some of these shoes that I'm heavily considering getting rid of or selling. First is the standard version of the Allen Edmonds Higgins Mill and the Chrome XL leather. Reason for getting rid of these shoes is just because I don't wear them that much anymore. There's nothing wrong with them, but I have some other awesome options, such as their Dalton wingtip dress boot, which has sadly been discontinued, my newly acquired Landon cap toe boot. This one's actually pretty sick. And for more casual, comfortable wear, of course, there is the Thursday Captain boot. This is not going to be anywhere near the quality of the Allen Edmonds, but the comfort is there, the weather resistance is there, the warmth is there, and bonus is if these actually start to look pretty rough, it is a lot easier to replace these at $200, meaning that I just don't have much of a need for these anymore. So these, I'm either going to put them in storage, get rid of them, or sell them. I've also decided to get rid of the weatherproof version of the Higgins Mill as well. I recently took a good hard look at this boot making one of these videos, and I noticed that there are just a lot of wrinkles in the leather. It just looks really rough for a boot that retails for $500. When you compare them to the original version, which has been discontinued, there seems to be a little bit less cushioning inside. I looked over here, there's a whole bunch of loose stitching. There's like a whole line of loose stitching. So overall, just not really satisfied with these boots anymore. They were great because they were waterproof and they don't get as hot as these. However, same thing like I just said, if I want to wear something as nice as this, I'm either going Thursday Captain, Allen Edmonds Dalton wingtip, or those new Landon Capto dress boots. The Chrome XL weatherproof leather just doesn't seem to be okay. Now I'm sure they will last a lot longer than something, let's say like a Thursday Captain, which is less than half the price, but I just don't like it when something looks this casual, since you really can't dress it up past a pair of jeans. Now this next one might come as a surprise to a lot of you. I am considering getting rid of the Cole Haan Original Grand in the brown on top with the darker sole. And the reason, similar to the weatherproof Higgins Mill, I just don't like how deep those wrinkles are. The more a shoe wrinkles and the rougher it looks. To my eye, that just means you can only really wear it with a nice pair of jeans. You can't even dress them up with khakis. So these just haven't been aging very well. I did buy these on Amazon for less than $100, so maybe they were factory seconds, or maybe the ones that they actually sell to Amazon are of a much cheaper quality. I am considering getting a fresh pair directly from Cole Haan since they're always running a bunch of holiday sales here in December, which is the time of filming this video. I'm sure that the new ones might just wrinkle a little bit less, but the comfort is great on these and I like the idea. I just don't love that I really can't dress them up past what I'm wearing today, which is just a polo shirt and a pair of jeans. And if we look at the other pair that I have, which is just the brown with the whiter sole, either it is not wrinkling as much or something's different about this pair. It doesn't look as bad to my eye. I think these are actually aging a little bit better than the ones with a darker colored sole. Maybe the white sole is actually just distracting your eye when you look at it, but these I actually wore quite a bit. These are a lot more worn than the darker colored ones. So I think it's just this particular pair, like this exact pair, not the original Grands as a whole. But I also have other versions of this shoe that are aging a lot better. These original Grand Chukka boots I've worn quite a bit in the rain already, always keep them in shoe trees, haven't really polished them, and the wrinkles don't seem to be as bad. So maybe if you do get them directly from Cole Haan, you're gonna get a much better quality of them. I'm not 100% on getting rid of these. It has crossed my mind, but since I have a lot of other comfortable higher end options like the boots I showed you or even my McAllisters, those might be comfortable enough where I might not have a need to go out there and get another hybrid shoe like this. And finally, I have just started to consider getting rid of the Beckett Simonon Kent wingtip derby shoes. These things are absolutely awesome. The quality is top notch. They're very comfortable. They fit me a bit big. That's not the shoe's fault. And you could always just throw in a bigger insert just to take up some of that extra space as your foot swells. So no real issues there. I don't love how bulky they look. They really would be better as a pair of boots. And if I could do it all over again, I would just go straight for the Nolan Brogue boot, which is just the Kent wingtip in a boot style. It just looks a lot better to my eye. But when I'm honestly comparing it to something like the McAllister, which isn't quite as comfortable, they don't feel too different once you get over that initial discomfort. And the last few times I've worn the McAllister, it actually hasn't bothered me. I did get new socks recently, so maybe it's just more comfortable. There's more cushion on the inside, or maybe the shoe is continuing to break in. But these I took on a decent 2-mile walk recently and my feet were feeling pretty good. Whereas these I always thought were gonna be a lot more comfortable than the McAllister. It might not be that far off. They might actually be pretty close, which just means I might not have a need for these. However, I do want to wear these a lot more so I can just update you guys on how they are actually wearing, since Beckett Simonon did send these to me for free, so it's pretty much a sponsor. They didn't ask me to say any nice things. They just said do a unbiased review, but unbiased review would mean I actually had to go and pay money versus them just sending it for free. It's almost like it's just weird when companies do that. However, I do like the quality, I do like the price, and I absolutely would buy another pair of Beckett Simonons. I would just go with something that's a little bit more sleeker to match something like this, the McAllister, or like I said, I would go straight for the boots. So that's going to do it for this one. I hope this helped you realize that it is totally okay to get rid of things that are just collecting dust. You don't have to hold everything and be a collector just because you're into shoes or just because you're into any expensive hobby. Thanks for watching.